Welcome, all you unhinged essentials.
I'm Cole.
And I'm Reed. Buckle up and helmets on.
And put those big girl panties on because you're going to need them.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Unhinged Essentials. Today we have Dr. Phil. Well, he's a medic, but that's pretty much the same thing.
Medic Phil.
No,
welcome.
Yeah, medics are pretty much doctors. We're the hands and feet of those guys when we get out of here.
Hey, be nice.
So Phil is with us today, and we're going to give Phil the opportunity to tell us a little bit about himself, where he's from, what he does, how long he's been in the field of Phil. So
Phil.
Yeah.
The field of Phil, huh?
Yeah.
So I'm Phil. I'm a medic here in Oklahoma. Been in the EMS world for going on 14 years now. Made the move up to the higher end of the food chain in the medic about 3 years ago.
Congratulations.
And it's kind of a funny story. What got me started was I was working on a ranch, and we had a concrete truck over negotiated a curve, and he flipped it over, run right into the pipe fence with one of our horse pens. And I was the first one there. We pulled the guy out, and he was fine. He made it through. And then fast forward about 3 months later, a county dump truck flipped in the exact same spot. That guy was not fine, however. He had a milk crate full of wrenches that kind of torpedoed him. He was
holy cow,
wedged underneath the seat, under the steering wheel, stuck underneath the brake pedal. So after a long, drawn-out process with the volunteer fire department and the local EMS, they finally got him out. And just so happened one of the volunteer firefighters looked at me and said, "You ever thought about joining the fire department?" And I was like, might be something fun to do.
Yeah. Are there girls involved?
At that time, there was one. The chief's wife, and that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, that's a no. That's a no. No.
Yeah.
Stay away.
Yeah. So, but they talked me into joining the fire department, and then I had always kind of had a want to do EMS, but just never really knew how to get into it. And I just opened up the door, and within the first 6 months of being on the fire department, I was enrolled in an EMT class and went through that. And then I spent about a whole 5 years or so just carrying around the EMT license. And then one day the doors opened up and I was able to move into the service I work for now, and going on almost 9 years with them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
are you still liking and loving the job? I'm sure you got a love-hate relationship with it, but it's more love than hate.
I do.
Yeah.
Here recently, I've also kind of done the transition into other parts of healthcare, and my home's still the truck. I really enjoy it. It's kind of my bread and butter. I like to be in the first one there, seeing what's going on.
So you like the excitement of it?
Yeah, the excitement's the call excitement's kind of starting to fade a little bit. I don't get amped up at the 3 a.m. car wreck like I used to, but it's still there. You still see things every time that you're like, how in the world did that happen?
Yeah.
What else am I going to see that this somebody's been through and walked away from?
We talked about that on a prior episode of just the kind of the sensory emotions for first responders. What they see, hear, smell, feel. Mine was always the hoarder house, and I need to over enunciate that. Hoarder house. Yeah, hoarder house. I was not excited to go into the other houses of ill repute, but the hoarder house, always got me. That and some of those wrecks where it was just like, hey, here's an eyeball. That's all I've got.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I don't know. Like I said this earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you guys do it because, like, we see twisted stuff in the ER, like I said earlier,
Yeah.
but y'all see like way more twisted stuff, and it's like I don't know how your brains wrap around it. I just don't get it.
Well, and Phil can help because it's so I said it was the whole picture. So when you get to the ER, you're explaining what the scene looked like, but you didn't get all the senses involved with the firsthand account of the scene.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you what a scene looks like, but when you start factoring in the smells that go along with it, the sounds that are in the background, the stuff crunching, you know, the other people talking, it you just can't describe
I think
that
Phil, I think you and I
everything.
talked, and you told me some things that were pretty twisted. We talked before, and
Yeah.
like like the story you told me was awful, and I can't even imagine how you would
Yeah, that
feel.
yeah, and it's a wave of emotions, when you get into that, and I can kind of elaborate a little bit on that, when we talked as, talking about one of the worst calls that I was ever a part of. And it started off as just, going to a single car wreck.
Yeah,
You never know how those are going to go.
yeah,
But when you pull up on scene and there was three adults and two kids in the car, and the first thing you see when you pull up is one of the adults has been ejected and they're laying in the middle of the road, not moving. Um, they've already got some people working on that person, and so I get on up to the car. I wasn't on the truck for that one. I was on the fire side for that wreck, and get up to the car and start, you know, getting people out. Get the other two adults. Had to get them out first. Due to the position that everybody was in, and at the time we only knew there was one kid in the car,
yeah.
so we get some stuff moved around and we get that child out, and they're breathing. Everything's, we're not, it's not a recovery yet, and get the kid handed off to one set of medics, and the other two adults, they're basically fine. They've got some scratches. They're walking, they're talking. They're in the green zone. So we've got the one that got ejected. They're working on her, and they're working on the other child, and we're wrapping things up on the fire side. The car's stable, the roadway's not blocked, and all of a sudden we get, hey, where's the other kid at?
Wow.
And I mean, the whole scene just comes to a screeching halt, and everybody's like, "What'd you say?"
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
said,
god.
"There's a there's a there's a baby that was with us." Well, then the scene turns pretty chaotic. Everybody rushes the car, and it was draped over a ditch. It was about 4 foot off the ground on its top under a bar ditch. And well, me and another firefighter, I'm down in the ditch and I'm starting to pull stuff out through the back glass because I can kind of reach up. And it was a hoarder car. I mean, there was enough stuff in there that, I mean, they could probably live for a month out of the car.
So were
Mm.
they living in the vehicle? Is that kind of the situation?
I,
Or
they said they weren't, but the amount of clothes and toys and food and chainsaws and weed eaters and everything else that was in the car, I would say so.
okay. All right, fair
But
enough.
we're pulling stuff out of the car, and all of a sudden, just something catches my eye, and I look down at the ground, and I find a skull cap,
Oh god.
about a 3 inch piece of bone. Knew
Hmm.
exactly what it was when I seen it, and that kind of changed the dynamic because now you're like, okay, this is going to be bad.
Yeah.
Well, I was able to kind of reach up through the car in the mess, and I could feel what felt like, a body
Yeah.
still in a car seat.
Oh God.
Another one of the firefighters, he crawled into the car. But we finally get everything moved out, and we're able to pull the car seat out, and it's got a baby in it,
Oh wow.
and it's signs incompatible with life, but we check and determine, you know, determine they're deceased. Well, we cover her up because this is going to be an ME case,
Yeah.
so we cover her up. Well, the medic that was in charge of doing the patient report on that one, he comes up. Well, when we flip the covering back, this baby is still as pink as the day that she was born. I mean, all the color, and she had the biggest, prettiest blue eyes I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So we're all like, did we miss something? So we go through a whole nother round of checking to see if this baby's gone.
Yeah.
And she was.
Mhm.
So we cover her back up. Well, it was like 3.5, 4 hours before the ME got there. And I'm still on scene. When I pull the cover back for the ME, that baby's still pink.
Oh wow.
Mm.
And it's one of those things, I'll never forget it. And that was the cue. It was time for me to go home after I was like, okay, peace out, guys. I'm going to the house.
So was it
So
mandatory for you to stay on scene, or was it just something that you did?
it was something that I did. I was on one of the first inbound trucks. So, I kind of felt like, but, being the first ones there, I need to stay if the ME had any questions, about anything that I seen when I first get there. But, you know, it wasn't quote unquote mandatory. We just had to have somebody with the fire department stay to secure the scene.
And you volunteered, or was
Well,
it
there
just
was about 6 of us that stayed.
okay? All right.
So
So
yeah,
you're
but
you're in a state with a lot of volunteer work.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's primarily volunteer for the whole county.
Is it
Um,
volunteer fire or both?
just fire. We do first respond. We do first responder calls out of the fire department, but we don't do any kind of true patient care. We just kind of do basic basic first aid. Maybe some information gathering because some of the areas are 30-35 minutes response time for the actual ambulance to get there before
Okay.
you get medics on scene.
So
So is it like a thing that you guys get like your what is it, basic, or is it just they train you on the job?
It's for the fire side. It's just kind of you can go as high as you want.
Hmm.
Most of the guys on the department just carry around a CPR card, just basic first aid, because
Okay.
we're not technically what's considered a first response agency,
Okay.
which is a bunch of made up words, that you pay money for to carry a license that says you can first respond when technically you can first respond without that license because there's no there's no true bearing on it. We don't have to have a medical director or, we don't have to have a specific supply list or anything like that.
Okay. All right.
so
So
I come from I worked in Texas as a fireman, and so it's paid full time, and we were in ALS service. And with that, you had all of the city, the county, the state money coming to us for all the things. I'm making an assumption like 75% of this country works in a volunteer status as a fire response, and then I know some states even their EMS is volunteer. Is there anything in place for you guys on calls like that make sure y'all are okay when you go home?
Like to protect you, pretty
we
much.
do. I can't speak for all of them, but I know that the department I'm on, we have a really good support group. Some of the guys that are on the department come are retired from paid departments. They One of our guys has been on was on a response team. He's been to just about every major incident and done a lot of post incident debriefings. Um,
Yeah.
and they do a really good job checking on us.
Did you
And
did you get any of that from that call?
yeah,
You
yeah,
did.
we had about four big round table, just sit down, talk it out,
Cuss and
time
discuss.
cuss and discuss, and
Mm-hmm.
we made sure we were definitely all off the clock, and we cussed and discussed, and um, had nice adult refreshments
Yeah.
I
to kind
appreciate
of
that.
ease into things.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but you know, but it's kind of like when we were talking about that story. Um, I've been fortunate. I've been on both ends of the spectrum with those. I've had the absolute worst call you can think of, and then it, in my experience, over the years, it's very seldom when you're in the field EMS that you really get to see just how big a difference you made in somebody's life. Okay.
Yeah. So
Well,
you have certainly earned your stripes.
Yes.
I think 14 years in I'm assuming a very rural area, volunteer and paid, right?
right.
There's something that's keeping you checking in. So what is the call that makes you feel good? What is the one that like you just said,
Yeah.
you made a difference?
The one that and like I said, you don't get to see, as EMS, we don't really get to see in results very often.
No.
I'm not saying the treatments that we do don't make a difference, but this one day in particular started off just like a normal day, as they all do. And there's a there's a very special patient that I've had numerous encounters with over the years. Um, she was um, she was a born as a twin. Her sister was completely normal, normal delivery. Well, the second one wasn't so normal, and she's had a lot of problems over the years, but I've taken care of her several times. Well, a call came in, and it was at an outstation. I work in a central zone, and we have a couple of different outstations. Well, the call came in, and all the demographics sounded like this certain patient. And I looked at my partner and I said, I'm pretty sure I know who this is. And I looked at my supervisor and said, can I head that way? And I'm quite a ways out. We've got another truck responding, but that patient can be a very difficult to manage patient
Okay.
when things go south. And it was a choking incident. So we roll up on scene. The initial truck's there, and they're having quite a bit of difficulty. When I opened up the door to get in back, um, heart rate was about 100. She was sat in about 70% on room air, and they're trying to bag her up. We're trying to get her oxygenated. Her fingertips are blue. Well, the primary medic that was there, he was working his rear off, and he had to step away. It was at that point, and kudos to him for realizing, let somebody with some fresh eyes. Didn't want it to be me, because the way it was going, it was not going to be a good day.
Yeah.
But I managed to locate the obstruction and get it out of there in between. She had just started the code. We were starting to work a pediatric code. Cleared the obstruction, and instantly she turned around. And by the time that we left that call, I was talking to her. She was holding my hand. Mom was thanking me. And she's still kicking and wreaking havoc today.
Wow.
And it's just, you just don't see that very often in the field, where you could go from one extreme to the other. Because, I mean, she was not breathing. We initiated CPR when her pulse rate dropped below 50. And we were getting everything going. We were working a pediatric code, and I'm, just those just never turn out well in the field. But when she turned around and talked, and I finished that shift, and just it really hit, because it was like, that's why I do this.
Yeah.
She's alive because me and the really good people that I work with were able to get things done. We made a difference that day, and and it may never happen to me again in my career, but that's what keeps me going. That was just kind of a career highlight right there. Being able to make a difference, to see a mom smile and say thank you for saving my kid, and
Wow.
Yeah.
Being able to hold her hand again and laugh with her after everything she'd just been through.
So, man, if your organization or supervisors, partners, whatever, didn't say good job, damn man, good job.
100%.
No,
It was there was a lot of the people that I work for are really good. I mean, they don't, they don't just look at you and go, oh, congratulations, now go take this transfer.
yeah.
It definitely made a difference. There was, they
It was an all around good job. Yeah.
yeah, it, it,
Oh,
it was, from start to finish, from the first responders that got there, and then the initial crew, and then me and my partner. It was a good call all the way around.
yeah. And so if people have missed the details of this call, this was not you were not up on this one. This was not your call.
No,
Y'all went in as like a secondary help.
yeah, we were going to be sent that way to post for the outstation,
Yeah.
but with the gravity of the situation, they decided to step us up and send us in as a backing unit.
Based on you asking, correct?
Yeah, based on me having some prior knowledge to this patient.
What made you? I'm I'm assuming based on what you said it was an oral airway obstruction.
It was, and due to her, she had some noxic brain injury and some lung injury during her birth. So she had a tracheostomy
Okay.
up until just about 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. So she's made some major improvements.
Yeah, but she has some very scar tissued, very difficult to mediate anatomy in the back of her throat.
Okay.
Because when you look at it back there, it don't look like you're looking at stuff and you're like, I don't know what that is. That's not normal.
Yeah.
So would you say, like, if you had to intubate, it would be more difficult for her, or?
Oh, but intubating her it ranks up there with about the toughest intubations you can have.
Does she still have the trach? Can you utilize that or
Nope, they
no?
had removed
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Um,
At the time of this call?
yeah, yeah, they had removed her trach about a year prior to this.
Okay.
Damn man.
And this was actually her second incident in a choking. And
So,
the previous one um, they were able to intubate around the obstruction.
Okay.
And then it took uh, a surgical team to remove the obstruction at a pediatric hospital.
Okay, so a lot of swallowing difficulties and everything. So
Yeah, yeah. She has a lot of the scar tissue caused a lot of abnormal skin folds in the back of her neck.
okay, gotcha. Okay. Definitely make it difficult.
Man, I started out as a volunteer in Central Texas and didn't realize, the lack of and level of care that the volunteers uh, get and give. So it's, hey, we need somebody, and these people in the community are willing to go, but there's no resources to help them. It wasn't until I worked for a large city and department that I realized what all we were given and what the volunteers weren't. And ever since then, I've always held our volunteer first responders in a very high level of respect. So I'm I'm grateful and thankful for what you do for your community. I hope that there are people there that know of the resources that exist, and are able to, those resources exist for you guys too. And if y'all don't know, we can talk offline, and I can make sure that you guys have those. Uh, because in a rural setting, y'all see a hell of a lot more for a whole lot longer time than any of us paid guys ever did.
And it it's definitely a different world, you know. And as my years of paid, on the truck, grow, the more that I see, um, you can really see the difference, and it really makes me appreciate our, like, the department that I'm on, the volunteer department.
Yeah.
You see the big guys that have only ever worked, for a paid service, and they're right in the middle of the city, and they have basically you know,
Yeah, a 3 minute to everywhere response. Yeah.
yeah, and it changes whenever you know that you're pulling out with that truck, and you know that you got 30 minutes before you're going to be on scene,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like,
Yeah,
what am I
man, I've,
gonna,
I've been
you
there.
know,
I knew I was an hour from everybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, I I did not appreciate it at the time. I do now, and so if nobody has said thank you, please tell all of your people thank you. I know in the hospital setting, we greatly appreciate all that you guys do, what y'all do. I know living in a rural setting myself, I'm exceptionally grateful for the people who pick up and take part, uh, and then to move forward in your career. I did the same thing. Uh, that's not an easy task, and even though your difficult call that you talked about, which, man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, 100%.
Um,
That whole story just really touched me. I was
yeah.
like, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how any of you do that stuff. I really don't. Like
Well,
ER, like
yeah.
I said, it's crazy.
Mhm.
It's you get some wild stuff in there, but it's a whole different situation when you're walking up on the scene.
Well, and then to volunteer and go back for the next one, without really any incentive other than just helping your neighbor. And
Yeah,
not,
being there.
you know, it makes me feel even more patriotic that I live with people in my state, my country, that do those things.
Yeah.
And so thank you for helping me continue to believe in humanity.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, and don't ever take it lightly.
I can agree with you on that. You know, there's still a few things you see that makes you believe in humanity still. That
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard in this day and age, but
Well, it's you.
Yeah.
You may be running on the low end of the barrel on some of your calls, and all of us have been there. But you uh, are is you're giving your neighbor, your community member, everything, the hope to keep doing stuff. So please don't stop. Uh, and if you ever need anything, you can reach out to either one of us, and I'll move heaven and earth for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that call is phenomenal. So I know from uh, your time of volunteering and learning and growing up the hard way, you getting all the street smarts and then putting the book with it. You knew what to do and how to do it, and you affected a change that is going to affect probably generations of people, and that is a big deal.
Like I said, that call was definitely one that you know don't happen very often in this career where
Yeah.
you make that big a difference and you know be able to see her again and see her mom and grandparents. I mean, by the time the call was over with, the whole family was surrounding the truck. So
Kind of a mini celebration there. It's like, okay,
yeah,
I did something today.
yeah, yeah. So
Well, man, Phil, I appreciate your time so much. I learned a lot about you and a lot from you. Thank you for all the things that you do and how you do them. Your that that generosity, that go-to spirit, that's a huge deal. I hope the people that are listening to this hear that, take that into account. If anybody's wanting to be a volunteer, know that that's something that you can do and make a positive change. If anybody's wanting to do paid or work their way up through the ranks, that's something that's certainly evident by your history. Man, if there's anything we can ever do for you or your community or your departments, please let us know, and we'd be happy to help in any way.
And you're going to have to come back and visit us sometime.
no, I will. I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to tell my stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
A lot of people always, they hear what you do and they're like, oh, what's the worst thing? I don't ever care about, what's the best thing. So it was really good to be able to tell that story and,
No, we love that you share that. Like,
Yeah.
this is things that we want to hear. We want to hear from you guys.
Mhm.
It's like we want you to tell us your stories. We want to hear what you have to say. That's really important to us. That's like actually that's the whole focus of us right
Yeah.
now.
That made me want to come back and record next week. I
Yeah.
got to find another good one.
Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah.
So yeah, just please come back and visit us sometime.
All right, I will.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity.
Man, good job.
Yes.
Good job. Thank you.
We love
Thank
this
you, thank you,
interview.
thank
It
you.
was
Yeah.
awesome. Yes. All right, guys. We just interviewed Mr. Phil. We're extremely excited to have him on.
Yeah, he did a good job. There's not much to say after what he said. I mean, to show up and be there and know what to do and make a positive change. I hope everybody that's on here, military, fire, police, EMS, whatever they're doing, they know that every single one of us has had that call that's made a difference. Keep doing what you do. If you haven't had that call yet, you will.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. And again, I don't know how EMS, paramedics, basics,
Yeah,
any of you guys do what y'all do.
we're special.
I could not I could not walk up on a seat and be okay with my life.
Yeah.
Anyway, so guys, thank you again. Come visit us on Facebook, Instagram,
All the things.
all the things. Guys, post.
Yeah.
Good God, what else do I have to say?
Hugs and cuddles.
Kisses.
See you next time.
Bye.